Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk About It. My guest today is the former NFL player for the Minnesota Vikings, Henry Thomas. You guys don't want to miss this show. He's going to talk about his life as an athlete and beyond. Thanks so much for joining me on this edition of Let's Talk About It, and we'll see you in just a moment. Hello and welcome to this edition of Let's Talk About It. My guest today is Mr. Henry Thomas. Henry is a former football player, professional football player for the Vikings, a couple of teams, right?
Detroit Lions and New England Patriots.
And New England Patriots. Wow.
Yes.
So, Henry, tell me what that was like. What was the beginning like when you first got into the NFL?
Scary. I mean, it was. I had no idea, where my skill set was, where I was as a player. But to get drafted, you feel good, and then you get there and you see all these other people that, they're top of their game too, and to go out, you got nerves, but it was for me, my experience was humbling. I mean, even though I became a starter really early, it was a long trek to become a starter. Even though I started like within 2 weeks of camp, but it was it's a different mindset for me to get going that way.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at an early age, did you always aspire to become a professional football player, or did it just kind of happen in life?
Football is something that took me like from one stage in my life to the next stage in my life. I played in high school, and I was pretty decent at it, and then all the colleges started coming to see a different guy on our team that got a lot of notoriety. And when they saw me on film, so the next year they started coming to see me, and I really had no aspirations of college. I didn't think, because my father owned a restaurant for 17, 18 years. Right. So, and I started working there pretty regularly at that time as a junior, senior high school, and my thought, my brain set was, help my dad out, become, because I like it. I mean,
and eventually own the restaurant or something like that.
Yeah, well, I enjoy cooking. I mean,
I do know you, and I enjoy eating your cooking.
So I just thought that was the natural process, and he had a friend that was really a good friend of his, and he said, I understand you got all these colleges looking at you. It'll be the best 4 years of your life, and your father won't have to come up with the ticket for it. And I thought about it, and I decided to go to college.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. And from college, then I played in college, and then got drafted in the third round. I was like the last player of the third round, which was
to get drafted. Okay, that's fantastic.
So it just took me to another level every time.
Right.
And now I'm trying to get back into coaching. At one time I started a little coaching. Now I'm starting to get back into it. So it's not like I aspire to do it, but I'm really comfortable with it, and I really enjoy it, and I've done really well with it, so I'm going to stick it.
You might as well.
Yes.
Yesterday I was actually reading some of Henry's information, and I think one of the things I read was that your daughters are kind of pushing you in that direction, say, Daddy, go on and do it.
Well, now they are.
They're just trying to kick you out the house. Is that what
before it was it was more like I didn't want to go and leave my girls, because I'd be going to another state and coaching for other places, and I didn't want to leave my girls. But now they're at that age where I'm pretty much getting on their nerves. I mean, they're at the age where the older they get, the stupider I am. So so they're like, yeah, you should do that. You're really good at it. So it's been interesting.
That's their subliminal way of pushing you on out the door.
That's right.
So we'll have a relationship via the phone or text messaging or Skype or.
That's right.
So Henry, and it was interesting when I was reading your information yesterday that you said when the coaches or the scouts rather were coming to see somebody on the team, and your question was, for what? So
there was at that time in college, I didn't think of myself as a superstar or a great player, but the guys that they were saying they were coming to see, I really didn't consider them to be. But the thing about it, that was good for me was that they come to see the film, and then I stood out on the film, so they had they came back for me. And like when I went to Minnesota as a rookie, well, I'll tell you about when I got drafted. Draft day is a big day for a guy that's getting drafted. So we're all sitting around, and we have the same agent. There's three of us: Johnny Holland, Roger Vick, and myself. And we're sitting there, and the phone rings, and it's Roger Vick goes to the Jets first round, and they're on the phone, and they're like, oh, we're going to send the Jet, come up for the press conference and everything. So he leaves, and we're all at the same place, and then the phone rings again. It's the second round. Johnny Holland gets drafted by the Green Bay Packers, and
okay.
in the press conference in the plane.
And you're sitting there.
And I'm still sitting there. It's like, okay, cool. Well, the draft goes off. The coverage of the draft goes off, and I'm thinking, okay.
Nobody wants me.
Well, and then the phone rings. Well, it's it's another day, but then the phone rings.
Okay.
And it's Minnesota, so I'm all excited. It's like, oh, great, Minnesota. So I'm on the phone. We drafted you in the 3rd round. Okay, great. And I'm waiting to hear it come up for the press conference and all that. It's like, we'll see you at minicamp. It's like, all righty then.
You didn't get your moment of fame.
That's right. So it's like, okay. So it was all those steps that made you realize that it was going to be it's really short-lived as a NFL career. I mean, the average is 3.5 years.
Is that right?
I was fortunate to play 14 years.
Wow.
But it was those kind of things like no press conference and I show up, and then when I get to training camp, and I become the starter. But before I'm the starter, I'm like not even on the depth chart. My name's not even listed.
Okay.
So I immediately turn to the special teams guy. Hey, what do you need me? I'll
right.
play kickoff, punt.
Just
what do you
give
need?
me something to do.
Give me something to do. But I became the starter, and then I had to get off those special teams because the lung capacity wouldn't take it.
Is that right?
That's right.
A little different, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So was there somebody in your life that actually inspired you in football at all? Who were the people you looked up to prior to becoming a professional athlete yourself?
There was only one guy, and I'm so thankful and so happy that this year he got named into the Hall of Fame. His name was Curly Culp, and he was a defensive lineman for the Houston Oilers. Not a lot of people knew him. He wasn't a starter, but every time he was in the game, he made plays.
Okay.
And he was the guy that when we were kids playing, I'm Kenny Stabler, I'm Pastorini, I'm Earl Campbell, I'm Curly Culp.
Okay.
That was the only guy. And this year he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, so he'll be at the ceremony this year, and I was thrilled by it.
Wow. So are you going to be actually at the ceremony this year?
I don't know. I've been there 2 years in a row for Chris Doleman and John Randle, and then I have another teammate, Chris Carter, who also got inducted this year.
Okay.
And but my girls are at that age with the cheerleading and the lacrosse and
they
the
got
guitar.
a lot going on.
So we have to check that out, see how it goes. Yes.
And kind of reevaluate the priorities on that, huh?
Exactly.
I'm really enjoying this dialogue, man. Henry, I know one of the things that's very important to you is family.
Yes.
That's very evident. And what is it like being the father of 4 girls?
Wow. How much time we got? Okay.
Got about a minute. No.
All right. To put it briefly, I'm drowning in the sea of estrogen.
Is that right? Drowning in the sea of estrogen. Did y'all hear that?
There's no testosterone, just me and the dog, and he's always on their side. I mean, I just can't win.
So it's a no-win situation.
That's right.
We'll be right back in just a moment with more of Henry Thomas. Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk About It with my wonderful guest, Mr. Henry Thomas. We're talking about the life of a professional athlete. Henry has played for the Minnesota Vikings,
Detroit Lions, New England Patriots,
and the New England Patriots.
Yes.
So you've had experience with 3 different teams. Did you have a favorite team, by the way?
No, each one of them held something different for me. Like Minnesota was the first team I'd ever played for, and I had a great camaraderie with the D-line and other guys I played with. And, and from that D-line, we have 2 Hall of Fame guys, and it was just a great first experience. And then I leave there and go to Detroit, and I'm dealing with a team that's owned by one person, and he loved his team, so he took care of our team. The individual players, I mean, in Minnesota, the family seats were in the end zone, left corner. I mean, like back over there.
Okay.
And in Detroit, all the family sat 50-yard line, 10 rows up and back.
Wow.
That was all family. And
Okay.
it was just like, it was so much different experience. And then I go to New England, and I play in New England, and it's the first time I play outdoors, in the cold, and I love playing on grass. My whole career I played on turf, and I didn't know how
grass felt.
Yeah, how detrimental the turf was to my body. I mean, the first time I played a turf game after being in New England for 8 or 12 weeks, I mean, just walking on it, I was like, I can't believe I was so oblivious to how bad this was. But that's all I'd known at the time. You know, and before that, it was college, and we played on grass. But going into the pros, all I ever knew was the turf. And so New England and the fans were so close because we played in the old stadium before they built their new stadium. And the fans were really close. I mean, close.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
A little uncomfortably close, huh?
Sometimes they were uncomfortably close. Yes.
You know, one of the main questions that I want to ask you today, and it's something that I've thought about myself often, as it relates to professional athletes like yourself. So often we see the athletes, their star potential, and we see them on the Wheaties and all this different stuff. They blow up, they're on commercials, they get endorsements, things of this nature. But then, as time passes, we'll see them in the headline news for having gone bankrupt,
right,
for losing everything that they have after they've had millions of dollars, and things of this nature. How have you maintained your lifestyle, being a professional athlete, and then retiring, and still having the same quality of life that you once had?
It's making the understanding. I was really fortunate to have my agent was incredible. His name was Jeff Duran, and he made a point of making me understand you're going to play football for this long.
Okay.
And you got this much more life to live. You know, so it's not what you make or how you're gonna. It's how you use it or how you put it away for yourself and for your family in the futures. I mean, in your when you're playing football, you know, he had broken it down to me this way when I first gotten. It was my second or third year in the league. And he said, "How much money do you spend a month?" And at the time I was single, you know, I was like, oh, I don't know, $5,000. You know, it might have been $3,500, but in my head.
And this is on leisure, just leisure stuff.
Yeah,
just whatever.
Well, just on bills, everything. How much? He was just the bills, the whole monthly. Because I had a house here in Houston, and a house in Minnesota, and he said, okay, we'll give you this much money a month. We'll give you, if it's $5,000, we'll make you have $6,000 a month.
Okay.
But at the time, I was making monthly maybe $25,000. I was actually taking home.
Okay.
So all that went into, here's a mutual fund. He'll bring every starter every year. He would bring all these pamphlets of mutual funds. Okay, we're going to do 8 this year. Pick out the 8 that you like. Let's read through them. And we sat and looked through them, and I was like, well, I like this, and I like this. I don't know about that. And he would explain what I didn't know.
Right.
And said, and so what I needed monthly to live on was great because it was I cushioned it a little. So and what we put away every year, and I in my mind that's the way I thought about it.
Okay.
About what comes after football.
Yes.
And like I said, I was just fortunate, and it's so hard to make a young 22 or 23, 24-year-old man understand. Okay, all this is coming now, but you have so much because at that time you're invincible.
Yeah.
You know, you have that. Yeah. You know, I'm sure like when you were younger, you rode a motorcycle.
I did.
And you wouldn't get on one now.
And I won't.
Exactly.
And you are so right.
Well, I'm the same way. I was a huge motorcycle enthusiast. I built the Harley Davidson and the whole thing. But now it's like, you know what, I don't want to do it. But it's hard to make them understand there's so much more
at that age.
You know, because everything's coming. And there's so many people saying, you're so great, you're wonderful, you're this and you're that.
Right.
And a lot of times when they fall off so fast, they forget that the thing that why everybody's telling you you're wonderful, you're great, you come do this commercial, come take these photographs, is because of the football that you played. Stay true to that and understand what's, you know, and let the other things be secondary because you see them every day. You know, oh, he's on the cover of Wheaties. And then next year, you're like, well, he had a terrible year. He fell off. Because a lot of times you forget the reason I'm on the cover of Wheaties because of this. I can't neglect that for the Wheaties and the show and the flash. But it happens too many times because it's so easy.
Right. I've seen it tons of times in the football arena, with baseball. I think Darryl Strawberry, if I'm not mistaken. Recently, just a lot of people that we've actually seen this with. So it's really good that you have maintained. And I think what helped you to maintain was you had good leadership.
Yes, I had.
You had good direction, and you had someone that educated you.
Absolutely.
So I wonder why is that missing with professional athletes today, because they wouldn't fall into some of the pitfalls, it seems, if they had what you had.
Well, I also had a great home. I had a stepmother, my father and my mother.
Okay.
That, you know, they worked together, even though a lot of times not together with each other, but I was the goal. I was the focus for them. and they made it easier for me to do things because so many times I use my parents and my agents a lot as buffers because you get family members that will.
That's smart.
You know, and I use them all the time as buffers. Like, you know, I get a call from a distant cousin that I ain't heard from a couple years. Hey, Mom, how come Bobo's calling me? What's going on there? Why don't you call and find out? You know, and they'll, you know, they buffered it a lot because so many times, also with young guys, family members, you know, well, I saw on television you made $10 million.
Right.
Okay, yes,
let me hold 5.
Yeah, how can I do this? Can I do that? But okay, he made $10 million, and that's the only number they see is the $10 million.
Right.
They don't see that 42% that the government takes. They don't take into account the 8 or 12% he's paying to his legal crew, his agents, and all that. You know, so that money is not that, but that's all they see, and it's like, well, you made this. How come I can't get this? And and I got to the point where I was able to say no. You know.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you get those manipulative calls. Hey, you know, your auntie's deep freezer went out, and I'll go do an autograph session instead of taking.
There.
They're over there going,
So,
I was there, I saw them. It was terrible.
Exactly, okay. And you broke, and they,
That's
you know.
right.
Having a great conversation, man.
Yes.
We're going to be back in just a moment with more from Mr. Henry Thomas as we talk about the life of an NFL player. Hello and welcome back to this edition of Let's Talk About It with Mr. Henry Thomas. Henry, welcome back to the show, man.
Thank you.
All right. You know, I see a lot of athletes that have actually just fallen off. What type of advice would you give to rookies that are just coming into the league so that they can maintain themselves?
Well, for rookies, my biggest thing is enjoy where you are, but know that it's a business. The whole thing is a business, and if you're not productive, you're not going to be there. But enjoy it and just have a great time with it, but know that it's short-lived. It's only 3.5 on average, 3.5 years on average. It's short-lived. Do all you can to make it as long as you can.
Right.
But enjoy it and stay within yourself. Stay within your own boundaries.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Keep in your lane, as you would say.
Yeah, there you go.
Stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane. Work your lane. Because when you get out of your lane, you can have a wreck.
That's right.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. What do you think about players like Vince Young now?
Well, I thought Vince Young coming out of college was a great talent. He never got an opportunity to have a coach that's going to develop his skill set. He was a great runner, a pretty accurate thrower, but not, you know, he needed a year or 2 years to say, you know what, this is where you throw it. If this coverage is here, you go to this guy, you look 1, 2, 3. And I just don't think he got that type of coaching. And so with a couple of off the field problems and not producing where they wanted him, now he's a free agent.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a tragedy because
Yeah.
he had an opportunity, if with the right organization, to be something just special. You know?
And it seems to me that the coaches on the league would be able to identify the problems that existed and fix them with the player. If they're not doing A, B, C, or D, okay, this is what he needs to do to get better and stay on the team and help us score points. And they would be able to identify this type of thing before it falters.
Well, you have different coaching sets. Like a quarterback coach may not be so inclined to say, because they have this quarterback and this quarterback, this guy gets it, so let's get him out there.
Okay.
And you're going to get it later instead of working it through. You know, instead of them saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that with this guy and to get him going, you know, to teach him how to throw the ball here, throw the ball there. It's like, well, we have these 2 guys that are getting it done, and like I said before, it's a business, production. Let's get them on the field.
Okay, got you. Tell me this. are there people in place when a person first comes into the league, when a professional first comes to the league? Like you had the guy, what was the last name? That helped you?
Jeff Duran.
Jeff Duran. Are there people in place on the different teams to help these guys now to make better business decisions and choices with their money?
Well, now in the NFL sets this up not so much as individuals for them,
okay,
but when they, like now the combine's going on, they'll have 2 days on the field where they're doing running and agility stuff, and all the coaches are there watching.
Okay.
But they have a whole day. I mean, 8 hours of just a seminar.
Okay.
Of just this could happen, this can happen.
Really?
And once they get drafted,
okay,
that before the season starts, there's a rookie symposium. Every single rookie has to be there.
Okay.
It's 4 days of they're at classrooms. They do scenarios of like skits of somebody coming up and trying to get you to do this and do that. And
really?
They lay it all out for them. When I was a rookie, we didn't have that. I was also fortunate to have another teammate that was his name was Doug Martin, who kind of took me under his wing and would say, "Hey, Rook, we don't do that around here. All right, you don't
really?
do that."
Okay.
And and all teams have guys like that but they don't always get the guys that listen because like I said, I was terrified. So he was like, "Oh."
So you listened?
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I ain't gonna do that no more."
Yeah.
So.
That's good. That's good. So now, one of the things that I know, of course, knowing a lot of professional athletes, you get a lot of groupies.
Yes.
A lot of women are throwing themselves at you and this type of thing. How did you handle that back then, Henry?
As a 21-year-old?
As a 21-year-old.
I loved it. Are you kidding me? As a 21-year-old, I thought
you had it going on,
That was it, man. It was like, I got it. Look at me.
Right.
Look at me. But, once you find someone and you settle down and you become, and I became, I got my family started. Groupies are just part of it came with the territory. You admired it from afar. Look at that old hoochie. Look at that. But that was it.
You can figure them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as a young man, I mean, like I said, we didn't have a rookie symposium.
Okay.
That gave you how all these scenarios could play out. They have all that in the rookie symposium.
Really?
I mean,
okay.
Everything. I mean, they go through women, money, family.
You name it.
You name it.
Wow.
It's 5 days of, they come out tired. There's no like partying or I'm gonna go out tonight.
Okay.
No.
Wow.
It's a long thing, and that they're trying to, put forth some kind of effort to say, this is what could happen to you. This is what we don't want to happen to you.
Right.
We want you to be at least aware of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we'll see a lot less players that will go through, have to go through actually losing their wealth and this type of thing because they're educated better now.
I would like to say yes, but that's not the case. Because the rookie symposium, I was drafted in 1987, so the rookie symposium started in 1991. So it's been going on since then.
Okay.
And you still see that.
Okay.
Because like you say, there's a group of them that, can't. Yeah. They don't hear the word till it hits them in the face.
Right. And you know what I noticed too? A lot of times they have so many people around them. They're the homeboys, so they end up taking care of an entire camp.
Yes.
As opposed to just taking care of their life, they're taking care of an entire camp. That's a lot of pressure there, huh?
A lot of pressure.
Did you have that experience yourself, or not?
No, I was always a loner. I was a bad kid.
Is that right?
I had to go through some changes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I was a kid in transition, so I never had a whole lot of group people. Right? When they started to come around, I was already aware of. I knew you like 6 years ago, and you couldn't stand.
Wouldn't even speak to me.
Yeah, and I was like I said, I was one of those quiet kids that nobody could figure out. So I didn't have a lot of friends, and when I went through, I mean, I had plenty of friends, but nobody that were like close that we did a lot of hanging out with and stuff like that. Plus my mom, my dad, my stepmother. I mean, they kept me pretty busy. Like, I'm gonna go hang out. Did you cut the yard? Did you cut the grass? I'm gonna go to. You're supposed to be at the restaurant to do the.
Is that right? Okay.
Well, I want to go. We're going to church today. So they kept a lot of that hanging out, friendship kind of stuff to a minimal.
That's great.
And if your friend want to come, he can go to church with us.
Yeah.
Hey man, you want to click? Hello?
What? Lost a friend.
Exactly.
Tell me this, Henry, when you first got into the league and you began to get paid, as we call it, what was one of the first things that you actually bought?
First thing I bought, you're gonna like this one. My first car, I bought a SS Monte Carlo. SS Monte Carlo. My roommate was a fourth round pick. The other guy there on the team, there's two others. First round pick, second, I was third, then fourth round and fifth round. And the fourth round and I were roommates. And he bought a BMW.
Okay.
The second round guy bought a Mercedes, and the first round guy bought a Mercedes. I love my SS Monte Carlo. Had the T-tops.
Yeah.
I was driving my car and they're
right.
What? Why would you? I was like, I look good in it. Yeah, it's a good looking car. Why would you buy that? I said, my thing was, what do you pay a month on yours? Oh, $460 a month. Mine's paid for.
Okay.
It's $12,000. First thing I did, I got a check right here. I'll take that car. I love that car. I didn't need a whole lot, but I wanted something that I enjoyed, and and that's where I've always been. If I enjoy it, okay,
there it is.
That's it.
So it seems like you had a lot of wisdom at an early age.
Well, I had like I said, my family put a lot of that into me.
Right. Tell me this: what's next for Henry Thomas?
Right now I'm coaching.
Okay.
And I'm coaching at a place called Cutting Edge Sports, and we get kids combine ready, and I get first and second year defensive linemen in the NFL, and I teach techniques. I mean, I wasn't the biggest, as strong, as the fastest, but I play with good technique and good agility. So and that's what I teach them, so they can take it on. And now you're passing the torch on. That's right. Henry, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much. All right. I hope you guys have enjoyed this interview with Mr. Henry Thomas. Hope you've been educated, inspired, and motivated. All right. Until next time, we'll see you then.